Hi, I'm Candy Cooper, DIY fashion blogger, and in this video I'm like so excited to make these paisley pendants. I love mixed media jewelry and bohemian style, and this is a perfect fusion of the two. If we take a look at these, you'll see that these bezel pendants are actually filled with materials like wood and leather and old jewelry. I've added some chain and tassels. They're super easy to make, super fun. I'm going to show you what you need to get started. So we're going to grab some leather, some wood veneer. Wood veneer is kind of tricky to find, but if you poke around the internet, you'll find it. But it's simply like wood paper. It's kind of brittle. You can cut it with scissors, but it comes in different, just like any wood, it comes in different tree types and things like that. So you can kind of pick your shade and color. I'm also fooling around with some leather. This is great. You can grab scraps of leather, or you can go to the craft store and pick some up. You'll find scrap bags that have textured leather. You can even throw in some canvas. This is some metallic denim. With these die cutting tools that we're going to use, you'll find that you can cut a variety of materials. Super fun. So let's actually cut something. So we're going to start, these paisley pendants are pretty cool because they work concentrically. So we'll start with the biggest one, which is the first layer in our pendant. So I like to put the pretty side of the material face down. You're going to put it on this shuttle that actually has a magnetic feature. That's how you know you've got the die in the right position. Put your pretty side down. Put your cutting pad on top. This is going to protect your die cutting, your die actually, so that you don't mess up the blades on it. And then you're just going to roll it in the direction that you want it to go. Remove the cutting pad, and voila, we have our first layer. It's really important that you get that pretty side down because we're cutting these pieces to fit the actual bezel. So if you were to cut the reverse side facing up, it wouldn't sit how you want it to in the bezel. So now let's cut another one. Let's cut a piece of wood. So I'm just going to trim a little section. We'll put it how it's going to go through the die. This is great because you're not wasting a ton of extra material. You kind of want to treat this like that handmade sugar cookie dough or whatever, not cut right from the center, right? So again, good side or pretty side of the material down, put your cutting pad into place, and then just roll it on through. A lot of people ask me when I'm teaching classes and stuff, can I put more than one shape down at a time? You can, but I'm kind of slow and steady wins the race, so I like to just do one piece at a time. So now let's cut the final shape, which is a little piece of leather. And just kind of line that up. If you have a tiny piece of material, it's also kind of handy if you have tiny magnets. You can anchor your leather down or what fabric or whatever you're cutting if you're worried about it scooting in the process of while you're cutting it. It's just a good little tip. Okay, now I have my 3 pieces cut. So you can see I have a whole little collection of things I've been cutting up. And it's kind of fun to play around. I've cut some embossed metal, I've cut wood. Here's some more of that leather we just cut. And it's kind of fun to play around with your layers before you actually glue them together, right? So sometimes putting too much texture together, that's just kind of a design rule of thumb. That might be a little what we call busy. But now we're gonna glue it. So I'm just using a multi-purpose adhesive. You can just drop these, just a little bit of adhesive. You might need a toothpick to spread that around a little bit more. Just go ahead and stick that in. And then we'll grab our wood piece. I love this darker piece of wood, so we're gonna use that. Spread that around, drop that in. And then you can see how easy and fast these are. Once you cut a few shapes, just go to town making your little pendant. And this is definitely traditionally we see bezels filled with resin and glitters or pigments or whatever. So this is kind of a fun alternative to that, resin process. For the little embellishment, I just used a little gem, but it's fun to take, sometimes I cut up old vintage earrings, some little resin pieces. Old jewelry is a great source of inspiration for me, so I'm all the time incorporating it into it. Now let's make it into a necklace. So I brought along some tassels. I think if you love bohemian jewelry, you can't have enough fringe or tassels or leather. So I'm just using some multi-surface paint here. Put a little bit out, doesn't take much. This stuff dries fast, so that's handy too, with my attention span. And then just flip it over. And you can see I'm using very little paint because I want that leather to show through. I like that, And that's done. I've got one that I already did. You can see I got a little heavy-handed with the paint on this guy. Let me clean up a little bit so we can see what we got. Also a huge fan of mixed metals, so I brought along a few chains and over-the-head necklaces. So layering necklaces, as we call them. And so now I'm just gonna simply grab some jump rings. I brought some extra big ones so you can see. This is how we open a jump ring. And you're gonna hang the pendant or connect the pendant piece. Now, we're gonna open a second jump ring and you're gonna attach your tassel. Then hang your pendant piece. And I like stacking them up just like that so that they sit, this piece sits right on top of my tassel. All about building those layers. And while you're at it, go ahead and drop in your chains and close up the link. And now you have a decision to make. Do I want to cut these chains and make a short piece, or do I want to just loop them all together with a jump ring at the end to attach the clasp? So if you look at this, I use the same jump ring connection, but then I use 2 pieces of leather that are about 1 millimeter in diameter. A single piece of leather goes through the turquoise, 2 pieces of leather go through the silver bead, and you just kind of keep weaving that look and then wire wrap your clasp at the end. And then if you check out the chain version, you can wear it long like this, same jump ring connection. I used a little clip-on earring that I cut apart for that embellishment, or take it to a completely different direction, string it with beads, cut the chain a little shorter, wear it shorter. This is your style that you can make come to life in these pendants. So look around your house, see what you can cut up, and make these fun paisley pendants.